The council chamber was massive, built to hold representatives from 47 different species. Captain Jin stood in the human section, his military uniform crisp and clean. Next to him, Ambassador adjusted her translator device. She looked nervous. Jin did not blame her. Today would not go well. High Archon stood at the center podium. He was tall, with silver skin that gleamed under the chamber lights. His species, had ruled much of the galaxy for 3,000 years. He was not used to being told no. "The human expansion must end," announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. 12 colony worlds will be surrendered to council authority. Humanity will accept our oversight on all future settlements. You have 2 weeks to comply. Stepped forward to speak. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was strong. "High Archon, humanity has followed every council law. We have been peaceful members for 30 years. Our colonies harm no one. Why are you doing this?" A rumbling sound came from the section. It was laughter. Other species joined in. The delegation chirped their amusement. The representatives clicked their mandibles in what passed for mirth among their kind. "You have been members for only 30 years, another counselor said. She was from a species that had been in the council for 2,000 years. "You are children playing at civilization. The elder species have decided. Your growth threatens the balance." Jin touched the shoulder gently. He leaned close and whispered, "Let me try." He stepped forward, his military boots clicking on the stone floor. Every eye turned to him. "I am Captain Jin of the United Human Nations Service. I served in our defense forces before joining the diplomatic corps. I have studied war for 20 years. He paused, looking directly at. "I am telling you now with respect that this is a mistake." "Is that a threat?" asked. His tone was dangerous. "No," Jin said calmly. "It is a warning. Humanity does not want war. We came to the stars to explore, to learn, to build new homes. But if you force us to fight, we will not fight the way you expect." More laughter filled the chamber. A counselor stood, his insect-like body towering over the podium. "We have 3,000 warships ready to move against your colonies. You have, 500? Perhaps 600. Your technology is decades behind ours. What can you possibly do?" Jin smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "That is exactly the problem. You think you know what we can do. You have decided we are weak because we are new. You believe our peace means we cannot fight." He looked around the chamber. "My species has one saying that I wish you would understand. Do not start what you cannot finish." Spoke again. "Please, honored counselors, humanity remembers our own history. We fought terrible wars on our home world. We nearly destroyed ourselves. We learned from that pain. We learned that war should be the last option, never the first." Her voice grew more urgent. "But we also learned how to win when we had no choice. Please do not make us show you." Raised his hand, and the chamber fell silent. "The vote will proceed. All in favor of authorizing military action against human colonies if they do not comply with our demands." Lights began appearing on the voting board. Green meant yes. Red meant no. Jin watched as green light after green light filled the board. The elder species voted as a block. The younger species, the ones who had joined the council more recently, mostly voted no. But there were not enough of them. The final count appeared. 47 votes for war, 3 against. "The motion passes," announced. "Humanity has 2 weeks. Comply or face the consequences." Jin pulled out a small communication device. He typed a short message in Korean, then in standard human code. The message was simple. "They have chosen. Begin protocol endgame." He sent it to Earth, to the military command, to every human colony. Then he looked at, "We should leave now." "Wait," she said. She turned to face the council one last time. "I want everyone here to remember this moment. Remember that we asked for peace. Remember that we warned you. Whatever happens next, it was your choice, not ours." They walked out of the chamber together. Behind them, the council members were already celebrating their easy victory. They talked about how the human colonies would be divided, how humanity would learn its place in the galaxy. Outside the chamber, Counselor Bo Sung was waiting. He was another human, older than Jin, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had been a general before becoming a military advisor to the council. "Did they vote for it?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "Yes," Jin confirmed. Bo Sung nodded slowly. "Then it begins. How long do you think it will take?" "For the first battle, they will reach 7 in about 10 days, Jin said. "For the war, 3 months, maybe less." "And they have no idea," said quietly. "No," Bo Sung agreed. "They think they are fighting newcomers with basic technology. They think they know what human warfare looks like." He pulled out his own communicator. "They are about to learn that humans do not just fight wars, we end them." Over the next week, something strange happened. Every human ship in Council space began leaving. Merchants, tourists, diplomats, students, everyone started going home. The Council noticed, but they thought it was fear. They thought humanity was running away. Jin stayed on the Council station, watching and waiting. He had one more message to send. On the 13th day, as the fleet prepared to jump to human space, he sent it. The message went to every news network, every government, every species in the galaxy. It was short. "To the Galactic Council, you were warned. You chose this path. Humanity will now finish what you started. We will finish it our way. When this is over, you will understand why we asked for peace. Captain Jin, speaking for humanity." Then he boarded the last human shuttle and left the Council station. Behind him was reading the message and laughing. He called his fleet commanders. "The humans are posturing," he told them. "They think words will save them. Begin the attack. Show them what happens when they defy the Council." The fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading for the human colony of 7. 3,000 ships, the largest military force assembled in 200 years. They expected to find frightened colonists ready to surrender. They had no idea what was really waiting for them. Jin sat in his shuttle as it raced toward human space. Next to him was quiet. Finally, she spoke. "Do you think they will ever forgive us?" "For what?" Jin asked. "For what we are about to do to them." Jin looked out the window at the stars rushing past. "No," he said softly, "but they will never threaten us again. That is what matters." The shuttle jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Council station behind. In 10 days, the war would begin. In 3 months, the galaxy would be changed forever. And the Council would finally understand the warning they had ignored. The Galactic Council's warning: never force humanity into war, they'll finish it their way. Part 2. Admiral Wu stood on the bridge of the UHNS Indomitable, watching the fleet arrive. 3,000 enemy ships dropped out of hyperspace near the colony world of 7. Their formation was perfect, their weapons already charging. They expected an easy victory. "How many ships do we have?" asked Commander Bin from her tactical station. 212, Wu replied. He was a short man with graying hair, but his eyes were calm. He had seen combat before, though not like this. Exactly as planned. Bin frowned. "Sir, they outnumber us 15 to 1. "I know," Wu said with a slight smile. "Poor bastards." On the lead ship, War Marshal OK studied the human formation with satisfaction. 200 ships against 3,000. The humans were fools to even try. He opened a communication channel. "Human vessels, this is War Marshal OK of the Imperium. You cannot win this battle. Surrender now and we will be merciful. Your colonists will be relocated peacefully. Refuse, and we will destroy you." Admiral Wu took his time responding. He walked to the communication console himself and pressed the button. "War Marshal, this is Admiral Wu. You were warned not to come here. You were told that humanity does not want this war. But since you are here, let me make something clear." He paused. "We do not surrender, ever. You chose this. Now we will finish it." OK laughed. Brave words from a dead man, all ships opened fire. The fleet launched their attack. Thousands of energy beams and missiles filled the space between the two fleets. It was an overwhelming display of firepower. The Council species watching the battle from their monitoring stations gasped. No defense could withstand that much destruction. But something was wrong. The human ships moved. Not the way ships normally moved in space combat, slowly adjusting position. They moved together like a school of fish, each ship knowing exactly where every other ship would be. They dodged through the incoming fire with impossible precision. "What is this?" OK shouted. "How are they doing that?" His tactical officer checked the readings. "Sir, their ships are linked together somehow. They are moving as one unit, not 200 separate vessels." The human ships returned fire. Their weapons were different. The beams were not the standard energy weapons most species used. These weapons phased in and out of normal space, passing through the shields like they were not there. A battleship exploded, then another, then 10 more. The human weapons struck with perfect accuracy, hitting weak points, destroying critical systems. "Shields are useless," a captain screamed over the communication network. "Their weapons ignore our shields." OK could not believe what he was seeing. In 10 minutes they had lost over 100 ships. The human fleet had not lost a single vessel. All ships concentrate fire on their flagship, overwhelm them with numbers. 500 ships turned their weapons on the Indomitable, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The beams and missiles converged on the human flagship. Commander Bin watched her screen. "Impact in 3 seconds, Admiral." "Steady," Wu said calmly. The Indomitable vanished. It reappeared 5 kilometers away, behind the formation. The massive barrage of weapons hit empty space, and several ships accidentally hit each other in the confusion. "Impossible," OK roared. "Ships cannot jump that fast. The calculations alone would take minutes." But the human ships were doing it again and again. They jumped in, fired, and jumped out before they could respond. It was not a battle, it was a slaughter. Doctor watched from the colony below. She was the chief scientist who had developed many of the weapons and systems the fleet was using. Her assistant turned to her, looking worried. "Doctor, the virus, should we deploy it?" Nodded, "Yes, let them see what happens when you attack humanity." In space, something else was happening to the fleet. Ships started losing power. Weapons systems shut down randomly. Communications became garbled. Navigation computers displayed wrong information. An engineer on one of the battleships discovered the problem. "There is something in our systems. It came through when their weapons hit us. It is spreading through our quantum communication network." The virus was brilliant in its simplicity. Every time a ship was hit by a human weapon, the weapon left behind a small quantum signature. That signature connected to the communication systems, which all ships shared. Once inside one ship, it spread to every ship in the fleet. And it was learning. The virus watched what the ships did and predicted what they would do next. It fed false information to their tactical computers. It made weapons aim at the wrong targets. It shut down shields at critical moments. OK tried to rally his fleet. "All ships disconnect from the quantum network, fight independently." But it was too late. The virus was already in individual ship systems. Disconnecting did not help, and without the network the ships could not coordinate their attacks. They became easy targets. In 6 hours, the fleet had lost 800 ships. The human fleet had lost 3. OK sat in his command chair, watching his fleet fall apart around him. This was supposed to be easy. Humanity was supposed to be weak. They were newcomers. They had only been in space for 200 years. How could they have such advanced technology? "War Marshal," his communication officer said quietly, "we have an incoming message from the humans." Admiral Wu appeared on the screen. He did not look happy or proud. He looked tired. "War Marshal OK, I am giving you one chance. Take your remaining ships and leave. Go back to the council. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them that humanity tried to warn them." "Why?" OK asked. His voice was broken. "Why are you letting us go? You could destroy us all." "Because we want them to know," Wu said. "We want the council to understand what they started. We want them to be afraid. Fear will prevent future wars better than destruction." OK looked at his tactical display. He had started with 3,000 ships. Now he had less than 2,200, and many of those were damaged. The human fleet was still at full strength. He had no choice. "All ships," he ordered quietly. "Retreat, jump to the rally point." The fleet began jumping away. As each ship escaped, the humans let them go. Commander Bin watched them leave. "Admiral, should we pursue? We could destroy the rest of them easily." "No," Wu said. "They need to report what happened. They need to tell the council that this is just one battle, that we have fleets like this at every colony, that if they continue this war, they will lose everything." One of the surviving officers managed to send a message before his ship jumped away. It went to the council station, to the military command, to every installation. The message was simple but terrifying. "They are not defending, they are hunting us. They have technology we cannot fight. They have strategies we cannot predict. The humans were not bluffing. We have made a terrible mistake." On the colony below, citizens came out of their shelters. They looked up at the sky where their fleet had won an impossible victory. They celebrated, but their celebration was quiet. They knew this was just the beginning. Admiral Wu sat in his command chair looking at the star field. His second officer approached. "Sir, we won. The colony is safe." "For now," Wu said, "but they will send more ships. The council will not accept this defeat easily. They will escalate." He stood up. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. Begin Phase 2. "Phase 2, sir?" the officer asked. Wu turned to look at him. "We are not going to wait for them to attack our other colonies. We are going to take the war to them. We are going to show them what happens when you force humanity to fight." In the council chambers, High Archon received OK's message. He read it 3 times, not believing what he saw. 800 ships lost. The humans had technology that made shields useless. They fought like nothing they had ever faced. For the first time in 3,000 years, felt afraid. "Send orders to all fleets," he commanded. "Prepare for full-scale war. Mobilize every ship we have. Humanity must be crushed before this spreads." But it was already too late. Humanity was not going to wait to be attacked again. They were going to finish this war their way. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council's warning: never force humanity into war, they'll finish it their way. Part 3. General Ara looked at the holographic map floating above her command table. Red markers showed Council military installations across 12 different star systems. Blue markers showed human strike forces moving into position. Everything was ready. She was a tall woman with sharp features and eyes that missed nothing. She had commanded human military operations for 5 years. She had planned for this moment since the day humanity joined the Council. Now, 30 years of preparation would pay off. "All strike groups report ready, General," her aide reported. "Counselor Ho, are your intelligence teams in position?" Ara asked. Ho nodded from her station. She was younger than the general, but her skills in strategic operations were legendary. "Every major council military network has our people inside. Once we begin, their communications will collapse within minutes." "Ambassador, is your broadcast ready?" Now leading the Psychological Warfare Division, looked up from her console. She had not wanted this role, but she understood its importance. "The message is prepared. It will reach every civilian network in Council space. They will hear the truth their governments are hiding." Ara took a deep breath. "Then let us show the Council what humanity can do. Begin Operation Endgame. Strike all targets simultaneously." Across 12 star systems, human ships dropped out of hyperspace at exactly the same moment. They were not massive fleets. Small groups, sometimes only 5 or 6 ships, but each group knew exactly where to go and what to destroy. At the Imperium's largest shipyard, 6 human vessels appeared. The shipyard was massive, capable of building 50 warships at once. It was defended by orbital weapons platforms and a fleet of 200 guardships. The human ships did not fight the guardships. They jumped past them, appearing right next to the shipyard itself. Their weapons were precise. They did not destroy the shipyard. They destroyed its power cores, its construction equipment, its control systems. In 15 minutes, the shipyard was dead. It would take years to repair. The guardships tried to respond, but their own systems began failing. The virus spread through their networks. Weapons refused to fire. Engines shut down. Communications became chaos. The same thing happened at 11 other locations. Weapons factories, military academies, fleet command centers, communication relay stations. Every target was hit at the same moment. Every target was left crippled but not completely destroyed. In the council chambers, alarms screamed. High Archons stared at the incoming reports in disbelief. How is this possible? How can they be attacking 12 systems at once? They do not have enough ships. His military advisor, a veteran of 100 campaigns, looked at the data with growing horror. They do not need large fleets, High Archon. They know exactly where to strike. They are not trying to conquer territory. They are destroying our ability to make war. A counselor rushed in, his feathers raised in agitation. Our primary military complex has been hit, 3 stations destroyed, 7 more damaged, and our fleet cannot respond. Their computers are showing false targets everywhere. The colonies are under attack, another voice shouted. The supply depots are burning. Slammed his fist on the console. How do they know where everything is? Our military installations are classified secrets. Counselor Ho could have answered that question, but she was busy on Earth, coordinating the next phase. For 30 years, every human diplomat, every exchange student, every merchant ship had been gathering information. They had mapped the Council's military infrastructure completely. They had even helped build some of it, inserting their own code into the systems. The Council had welcomed human engineers, human programmers, human architects. They thought they were helping the newcomers learn. They had no idea they were giving humanity the keys to everything. Citizens watched their news feeds in shock. Their military had seemed invincible. Now it was under attack from an enemy they had dismissed as weak. Fear spread through the population. That was when broadcast began. Her face appeared on every screen, every device, every public display across council space. She spoke in every language, the translator technology ensuring everyone understood. People of the Galactic Council, she said, her voice calm but firm. Your governments forced humanity into this war. We asked for peace. We warned them what would happen. They laughed at us. Now you see the result. Images appeared behind her. Human colonies under attack by ships, civilian evacuation vessels being targeted, bodies floating in space, 40,000 dead humans killed in the first days of the war. Humanity does not want your worlds. We do not want to rule you. We want only one thing, to ensure this never happens again. Your leaders believed they could bully us into surrender. They were wrong. The broadcast showed Council military installations burning, but it also showed something else. Human ships avoiding civilian areas. Human forces providing medical aid to enemy soldiers they captured. Humanity fighting with precision, not rage. This war will end when your leaders accept our terms. Until then, every day we will dismantle their ability to threaten us. Every military facility, every warship, every weapons factory. We will not stop until they surrender. Leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. To the citizens of the Council, demand peace from your governments. This war benefits no one. Your soldiers die for the pride of leaders who will never face danger themselves. End this, before more lives are lost." The broadcast ended. The effect was immediate. Protests began. Citizens demanded to know why their government had started a war they were clearly losing. The same happened on and Worlds. High Archon tried to rally the other leaders. "We must stand together. If we show weakness now, humanity will dominate the entire galaxy." But the other three species were already wavering. The High Speaker sent a private message. "Perhaps we should consider negotiations. This war is not going as we planned." "Negotiations," shouted. "They are attacking us. We are the victims here." "Are we?" the Queen asked quietly on the communication channel. "We voted to attack their colonies. We fired first, and now we are losing." On Earth, General Ara received reports from all strike forces. Every mission had succeeded. Not a single human ship had been lost. The Council's military infrastructure was in ruins. "Phase 2 complete," she announced. "Begin Phase 3, target their fleet assembly points." Her staff looked at her in surprise. "General, their fleets are already crippled. Do we need to continue?" "Yes," Ara said firmly. "We need to be thorough. We are not just winning this war. We are ensuring there will be no second war, no third war. When this is over, the Council will be unable to threaten anyone for a generation. That is the only way to guarantee true peace." A young officer spoke up hesitantly. "General, some people are saying we are being too harsh, that we should offer terms now." Ara turned to look at him. "Do you know what happens if we stop now? In 10 years, maybe 20, the Council will rebuild. They will remember their humiliation. They will attack us again, but next time they will be prepared. More humans will die. More wars will be fought." She shook her head. "No, we finish this completely. We make the cost so high that no one will ever dare to attack humanity again." She activated the fleet-wide communication. "All forces, this is General Ara. You have performed brilliantly, but our mission is not complete. The Council still has military forces scattered across their territories. We will find them. We will neutralize them. We will not stop until they have no choice but to accept peace on our terms." In the Council chambers, the 4 aggressor species held an emergency meeting. They had expected a quick victory. Instead, they were facing total defeat. Their fleets were scattered and damaged. Their infrastructure was burning. Their populations were demanding peace. The ambassador spoke first. "We should sue for peace before this gets worse." "It cannot get worse," snapped. But it did get worse. Human intelligence teams had been working on something special. Counselor Ho activated it now. Across Council space, military computers began displaying embarrassing truths. Secret communications between leaders, discussing how they would divide human colonies like spoils of war. Plans to enslave human populations. Schemes to steal human technology. All of it was broadcast publicly. The Council leaders had not just started a war. They had planned conquest and exploitation. Their own populations saw the evidence and were outraged. Protests turned into riots. Governments faced votes of no confidence. The careful political structure of the Council began to crack. High Archon watched his civilization turning against him. In 30 days, humanity had done what no enemy had accomplished in 3,000 years. They had not just defeated the military. They had destroyed this political power, their economic strength, and their reputation. And they had done it all without conquering a single Council world. Late that night sent a private, encrypted message to Earth. It contained 3 words: "We surrender terms." General Ara read the message and smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Now," she said, "we show them what it means to finish a war the human way." The Galactic Council's warning: never force humanity into war, they'll finish it their way. Part 4. The peace conference took place on Sanctum Station, a neutral facility built hundreds of years ago for exactly this purpose. Admiral Jin led the human delegation. He had been promoted after the war began, his warnings finally taken seriously by the Council species. Across the table sat the leaders of the 4 aggressor species. High Archon looked nothing like the proud leader who had laughed at human warnings. His silver skin had dulled. His eyes held defeat. Next to him, the High Speaker kept his feathers flat in submission. The Queen's mandibles trembled. The Prime Minister could not meet anyone's gaze. Behind the human delegation sat President, leader of the United Earth government. She was Ambassador's older sister, and she had the same determined expression. But where had sought peace through diplomacy would ensure peace through strength. "Let us begin," Jin said. His voice was calm, almost gentle, that somehow made it more frightening. "The war is over. Your surrender has been accepted. Now we will discuss terms." "We are ready to negotiate," began. "No," Jin interrupted. "You misunderstand. There will be no negotiation. You will listen to our terms. You will accept them. That is the only way this proceeds." The council leaders looked at each other in shock. This was not how peace conferences worked. There was supposed to be discussion, compromise, dignity. President stood. "You declared war on us expecting easy conquest. You thought we were weak. You laughed at our warnings. You fired on our civilians." Her voice grew harder with each sentence. "You do not get to negotiate. You get to accept responsibility." She activated a holographic display. Images appeared showing the destruction of human evacuation ships. Civilian vessels, clearly marked, being targeted by Council military forces. Men, women, children floating in space. 40,000 humans died in your first attacks, said. 40,000 people who had no weapons, no shields, no way to fight back. They were running away and you killed them anyway. The Queen spoke quietly. That was not ordered. Those were rogue commanders acting without authorization. Were they? Lieutenant stood from her seat. She was a young intelligence officer who had been documenting everything. "We have the communication logs. We have the orders. Should I play them for everyone?" She did not wait for an answer. Audio recordings filled the room. Council commanders discussing how civilian targets would demoralize humans faster, how killing refugees would make the colonies surrender quickly, how brutality would serve as an example. Closed his eyes. "Those officers have been arrested." "Not good enough," Jin said. "They were following a strategy approved at the highest levels. We want tribunals. We want justice. The officers who ordered attacks on civilians will face war crimes charges." "You cannot do this," the Prime Minister protested. "We are sovereign governments. We will handle our own justice." "You lost the war," said flatly. "You do not get to decide anything anymore. Not until you have proven you can be trusted, which brings us to our terms." She activated another display. A long list appeared. The council leaders read it with growing horror. Jin read it aloud. First, complete demilitarization of all 4 aggressor species for 50 years. You will be allowed defensive forces only, no more than 10% of your current military strength. All offensive warships will be decommissioned. All weapons development programs will be shut down. "Impossible," shouted. "That would leave us defenseless." "You should have thought of that before you attacked us," Jin replied calmly. "Second, reparations. You will pay for the rebuilding of everything you destroyed. You will compensate the families of everyone you killed. Payment will be in resources, technology, and knowledge. We will determine the exact amounts." "That will bankrupt our economies," the High Speaker protested. "Then you should not have started a war," said without sympathy. Third, council reform. The current council structure allowed you to force war on us with a simple majority vote. That ends now. Humanity will have permanent seats on all security councils. Any military action will require approval from all permanent members. No single coalition will ever have enough power to bully newer species again. The Queen leaned forward. "You are rewriting the entire council charter." Yes, Jin agreed. Because the current charter is broken, it allows the strong to prey on the weak. It allows elder species to control everything while newcomers have no real voice. That changes today. Fourth, continued, full disclosure. You will provide us with complete information on all military capabilities, all technologies, all defense systems. You wanted to know what humanity can do. Now we want to know everything about you. That is our most sensitive information, the Prime Minister said. And you were planning to steal ours, Counselor Ho spoke up from her position. We found your intelligence plans. We know you intended to conquer our colonies and take our technology by force. So yes, you will share everything, not as theft but as the price of your aggression. Jin looked at each council leader in turn. Fifth, war crimes tribunals. Every officer who ordered or participated in attacks on civilians will stand trial. These will be public trials broadcast across the galaxy. The evidence will be presented. Justice will be served. Our own courts can handle this, said Weekly. Your own courts would let them go with light sentences, said, or conveniently find no evidence. We have seen how council justice works for the powerful. No, these trials will be conducted by an independent tribunal with human oversight. There was a long silence. The council leaders looked at the terms with despair. They had lost everything, not just the war but their power, their pride, their position in the galaxy. Finally spoke, these terms are too harsh. They amount to conquest, to enslavement. This is not peace. This is dominance. President walked around the table until she stood directly in front of him. When she spoke, her voice was ice. You declared war on us expecting easy conquest. You planned to take our worlds, our people, our future. You fired on helpless civilians. You laughed at our warnings. You forced us to fight. She leaned closer. We are simply finishing what you started our way. You wanted dominance. You wanted to show humanity its place. Well, you succeeded. You showed us that the council cannot be trusted, that the elder species see newcomers as prey. So now we ensure it never happens again. She straightened up. These terms are not negotiable. Accept them or we continue the war. We will destroy every military asset you have. We will cripple your economies. We will ensure you are no threat to anyone for 100 years instead of 50. Your choice. The four leaders huddled together, speaking in low voices. What choice did they have? Their militaries were broken. Their populations were demanding peace. If they refused, humanity would keep destroying them piece by piece. After 10 minutes, returned to the table. He looked like he had aged 100 years. We accept all terms. We will sign your treaty. Good, Jin said. He pulled out a document and placed it on the table. Sign here, each of you. One by one, they signed. The proud leaders of species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, now reduced to accepting terms from a species they had dismissed as newcomers. When the last signature was placed, President addressed them all one final time. Let this be remembered across the galaxy. Humanity did not want this war. We asked for peace. We gave warnings. You ignored them. You thought our restraint was weakness. You mistook our peaceful nature for inability to fight. She paused. Never make that mistake again. We will be generous in peace. We will help you rebuild. We will share our knowledge and technology. But if anyone ever threatens humanity again, if anyone ever forces us into war, we will do exactly what we did to you. We will finish it completely. We will finish it our way. She turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. On the memorial station we are building for our 40,000 dead, there will be an inscription. It will read, "They wanted peace. Others chose war. We finished it." Every species in the galaxy will be required to send representatives to that memorial, every year, forever, so that no one ever forgets what happens when you force humanity to fight. The conference ended, the treaty was signed, the war was over. In the council chambers, the species that had voted against the war watched everything with mixed feelings. Some were glad to see the aggressive elder species put in their place. Others worried about humanity's power. All of them understood that the galaxy had changed forever. Ambassador, watching from Earth, felt tired. She had wanted peace through understanding. Instead, they got peace through victory. But as she watched the council leaders sign the treaty, she understood something. Sometimes, the only way to prevent war is to make it so costly that no one dares start one. Sometimes, to achieve lasting peace, you have to be willing to finish wars completely. And humanity had just proven they would do whatever was necessary to protect themselves. The galaxy would remember, the council would never forget, and hopefully there would never be another war. Because now everyone understood, never force humanity into war. They will finish it their way. The Galactic Council's warning, never force humanity into war, they'll finish it their way. Part 5. 5 years after the war ended, Counselor Bo Sung walked through the new council chambers. They had been rebuilt after the old ones were damaged in a riot during the war. The new design was different. Instead of the elder species having the central positions, all species now sat in a circle, equal, together. Bo Sung was older now, his hair completely gray, but he smiled as he watched the council at work. Things were different, better. Representatives from younger species spoke without fear. Proposals were debated fairly. The elder species that had once dominated now shared power. Counselor Bo Sung, a voice called. He turned to see Elder Anis, a historian from one of the neutral species that had not fought in the war. I wanted to thank you for the interview yesterday. Your perspective on the war will be valuable for my historical record. My perspective is simple, Bo Sung said. We did not want war, but when it was forced upon us, we had no choice but to win completely. Half measures would have only delayed the next conflict. Many species fear humanity now, Anis observed. Some do, Bo Sung agreed. But more see us as partners. Look around. How many treaties and alliances has humanity signed in the past 5 years? The number was impressive. 73 species had formal alliances with humanity, trade agreements numbered in the hundreds, cultural exchange programs, scientific collaborations, mutual defense pacts. Humanity was more connected to the galaxy than ever before. Admiral Bin stood in the inspection yard above this main shipyard. Below her, dozens of new ships were being constructed, but these were not warships. They were merchant vessels, transport ships, and exploration craft. An engineer approached her, bowing respectfully. Admiral, the new designs you requested are complete. These cargo haulers will be more efficient than our previous models. Bin reviewed the specifications on her. Good work. These will help rebuild your trade networks. She looked at the engineer. How does it feel building ships for commerce instead of war? The engineer thought carefully before answering. Different, strange, but, he paused, also satisfying. Our warships brought us glory but also brought us disaster. These ships will bring prosperity. Perhaps that is better. Bin nodded. She had spent the past 5 years overseeing the demilitarization of the 4 aggressor species. It was not a job she enjoyed, but it was necessary. She made sure they followed the treaty terms, but she also made sure humanity helped them rebuild. Human engineers worked alongside workers. Human doctors provided medical care in hospitals. Human teachers educated children. Humanity had been ruthless in war, but they were generous in peace. Admiral, another voice called. She turned to see Captain OK, the former war marshal who had led the attack on 7. He wore civilian clothes now, working as a consultant for the new merchant fleet. Captain, Bin greeted him. They had developed a strange friendship over the years. How are the new training programs going? Well, OK said. Our young people are learning to navigate trade routes instead of battle formations. It is a better future, I think. He looked at her. Admiral, may I ask you something? Of course. Why did you help us? After what we did, you had every right to leave us to suffer. Ben looked out at the shipyard, at the Inhumans working side by side. Because that is not who humanity is. We fight to protect ourselves, to ensure we can live in peace. But we do not hate our enemies. We do not want them to suffer. We want them to change, to be better, to join us in building something good. She turned to face him directly. You taught us what we needed to know, Captain. You showed us that the Council would attack the weak, that we needed to be strong enough that no one would dare threaten us. But you also taught us something else, that defeated enemies can become friends if given the chance. Okay, bowed deeply. Humanity is wiser than we gave you credit for. On Earth, Ambassador sat in her study, working on her memoir. She had retired from active diplomatic service after the war, but her writing kept her busy. The book was almost finished. She read over the final chapter. The war lasted 6 weeks, but its impact will last forever. Humanity proved that newcomers to the galaxy could defend themselves. We proved that technology and preparation matter more than ancient bloodlines. We proved that peace must be built on strength, not on hope. But we also proved something else, that humans value life, even enemy life, that we fight only when necessary, that we help even those who tried to destroy us. The Council species that feared us now know the truth. Humanity is dangerous when threatened, but generous when secure. The galaxy has changed. The old order where elder species ruled and younger species obeyed is gone. Now we have something better, a true council where all voices matter, where disputes are solved through discussion, not domination. And if anyone forgets, if anyone tries to return to the old ways, the memorial station reminds them, 40,000 names, 40,000 reasons why war should be the last resort, never the first. She saved the file and looked out her window at the gardens below. Her sister was down there, playing with her. The president had served her term and stepped down, preferring to spend her final years in peace. A message appeared on the console. It was from the council. They wanted her to speak at the 5-year remembrance ceremony at the memorial station. She accepted. Some memories needed to be kept alive. The memorial station floated in neutral space, halfway between Earth and the old council territories. It was beautiful, built from white stone and transparent aluminum. Inside, 40,000 names were carved into the walls. Humans killed in the war, each one remembered. Captain Jin, now retired, stood before the central monument. Around him, representatives from every council species stood in silence. This was the requirement humanity had demanded. Every species sent representatives every year, a reminder of the cost of war. A young stood next to Jin. She could not have been more than 20 years old. She looked at the names with tears in her eyes. I did not know, she whispered. I did not know so many died. They do not teach us this in school. They should, Jin said gently. Forgetting the past ensures it will repeat. Are you angry, the young asked, at my people, at what we did? Jin thought about that question. During the war I was very angry, but anger fades. Now I am just sad, sad that it had to happen, sad that so many died because leaders made bad choices. He looked at her. But I am also hopeful. Your generation did not start this war. You can ensure there is never another one. Ambassador arrived at the memorial and gave her speech. She spoke about the humans who died, about their lives and dreams. She spoke about the war, about the warnings ignored. But she also spoke about the peace that followed, about the friendships built between former enemies. 5 years ago we finished a war we did not start, she said to the assembled crowd. We finished it our way, completely, decisively, but we also finished it with mercy. We could have destroyed our enemies. Instead, we helped them rebuild, because that is who humanity is. We are not conquerors. We are not tyrants. We are defenders. We protect what is ours, but we do not seek what belongs to others. We fight when we must, but we prefer peace. We remember our dead, but we do not let revenge guide us. She paused, looking at the memorial walls covered with names. These people died because others forced war upon us. Let their memory remind us all. War should be avoided at all costs. But if war becomes necessary, if peaceful species are forced to fight, they will do whatever it takes to ensure their survival, and they will finish it their way. The ceremony ended. Representatives from every species placed flowers at the memorial. Humans and stood together, and humans shared stories, and humans discussed their cultures. Former enemies now learning to be neighbors. Elder Anis recorded everything in his historical account. Years later, when asked to summarize the war and its aftermath, he wrote, "The War of Human Ascension, as it came to be known, lasted 6 weeks. It changed the galaxy forever. The Council learned that age does not equal wisdom, and tradition does not equal right. They learned that forcing peaceful species into war is the gravest mistake any government can make. But they also learned something else. They learned that humanity, while dangerous when threatened, is also capable of great generosity. They learned that strength can be paired with mercy. They learned that the best way to prevent future wars is not through dominance, but through justice. The galaxy is better now, safer, more fair, and it is so because humanity refused to fight the war on the Council's terms. They fought it their way. They finished it completely, and then they helped rebuild what was destroyed. The lesson is simple, and every species now knows it. Never force humanity into war. Not because they cannot be defeated, but because they will finish it in ways you never imagined. Completely, methodically, permanently. And then they will help you become better than you were. That is the legacy of the War of Human Ascension. That is the lesson the galaxy will never forget. On Earth, in the military academy where new officers trained, a motto was carved above the entrance. Every cadet learned it. Every officer remembered it. Every human citizen knew it. The motto was simple. We do not seek war, but if war finds us, we will finish it, our way. And across the galaxy, in council chambers, in military academies, in history books, in the stories parents told children, everyone knew the truth of those words. They had seen it proven. They would never forget. And hopefully, they would never force humanity to prove it again.